everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring the World of Warcraft New Flavors of Azeroth cookbook. After making Quiet Hounds last week, which was the side dish, we're going to make cocoa flatcakes, which will be our first breakfast entree on Mystical Munchies. As usual, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so let's head in that direction. Before we jump into the ingredient list, we'll go through the little story for this recipe. So, a Suramar recipe, so this would have been from Legion, I think. Here's a little something I stumbled across during my time in Suramar. These flatcakes are dark and moody like a lot of places throughout the Broken Isles, but don't let that put you off. They're also delicious and full of nourishing buckwheat, just slightly sweetened and perfect with a drizzle of your favorite syrup. We'll find out how sweet they are. But the recipe calls for a cup of buckwheat flour. Now, I went to 3 different grocery stores and I couldn't find buckwheat flour, so I'm just using regular whole wheat flour instead for that. Then we need 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, which is right here. 3 tablespoons of dark brown sugar, which I've got the remains of from a couple recipes right here. I had to go pick up some more from the grocery store this morning. Teaspoon of baking powder, which is right here. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. A cup of buttermilk. 3 tablespoons of molasses. 1 large egg, which is right here. A teaspoon of vanilla extract. And 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, which I actually need to melt. So that'll be among what I'm doing in the kitchen, but speaking of the kitchen, let's head in that general direction. We're going to have various sounds going on in the kitchen, so I'll warn you on anything I do before I do it. I've also got the hand mixer over here. It's actually off shot, but the cord is right there. I don't need that right now, but that'll be for a step I need later. So just getting things ready here as much as I can. So we're going to start off with a medium mixing bowl, which I've got right here. We'll start off with a cup of the whole wheat flour, the flour. Like I said, the recipe calls for buckwheat, but I'm using regular whole wheat flour. Let me get this open. There we go. Need a cup of this. Okay. There's the cup of flour. We'll get that buttoned up and get that out of shot right away. That should fit. Should take a little bit of finagling, but it'll go there. We need 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, which I've got right here. I think this is more cocoa powder than I've ever needed for a recipe. Not even the no-bake cookies called for that much. I think the no-bake cookies called for like 4 tablespoons of it, but I'm not sure how the conversion works out on that, so that can leave shot as well. Next up, we need the 3 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. I'm sure I'm going to run out of this, which is why I grabbed more at the grocery store this morning. Let's see, 1, 2, and okay, didn't quite run out of dark brown sugar, but I'm definitely not too far from running out of it. But anyway, that can get a shot as well. Let me grab the new one as well, just in case I end up using that later. Go there for now. Teaspoon of baking powder, which is right here. I'll grab another teaspoon out because I know I'm going to need that later. 1/2 tablespoon. teaspoon, but I can probably finagle with a half teaspoon. I'll just pull 2 of those. Actually, never mind, I got a 1 teaspoon in here, so we're good there. Let's see, we just put the baking powder in. Sorry, I just kind of lost my place briefly. Alright, baking powder's in. We need half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, which is right here. Okay, those can both move into the dishes. And then a pinch of salt, which I know it's going to be a generous pinch, but the way I do that is I just hold the container of salt over for like a split second. And that's, like I said, it's a very generous pinch, but okay. There we go. That can get right out of shot as well. And then while I work on mixing these up, this is where I'm going to start melting the butter. So you're going to hear the microwave. I got to bring that into shot slightly just to get it out of the way. But this is where you're going to hear the microwave start whirring at least 30-second intervals so I can make sure the butter's melting. Okay. Whoa, that did not sound good. Hopefully there's not too many problems with the butter in the microwave, but I will have to keep an eye on that. Let's give that about another... I think I only need about another 10 seconds for that. How does this... Okay, there we go. Mixing that up. Take another look. And... Ow! Let's not hold it by the part that's actually the butter, Phoenix Knight, but I think that looks about good for the butter, so I'll get that out of my way while I finish combining everything. Alright, so that should be good to go now. Now I think we're ready for everything else. So now we need a cup of buttermilk, which I've been shaking off and on. I'd rather not use that same cup that I had the flour in. Here we go. A cup of buttermilk. Okay, this does not look like it wants to open for me. I really don't want to have to... Okay, there we go. It was taking its sweet time to cooperate, but there it goes. So we want the cup of buttermilk. Okay. That can get out of shot as well. 3 tablespoons of molasses, which is going to take forever to come out, just because I've heard all the stories about molasses and how slow it goes, and catching my phone clip. Actually, I'm going to take this stupid clip off right now, just so I don't keep getting it caught. Anyway, there are the molasses, and what did we say? We need 3 tablespoons of this. So I've got a 1.5 tablespoon container right here. Okay, that's not horrible. Moves about as fast as honey, I would say, so not too bad. Try to scoop a little bit more of it out. All right, we'll get the other 1.5 tablespoons. So I'm taking a little bit of liberties. I think it was pouring, at least it was pouring out of the container a little faster than I expected it to, so we'll get all of that out, I'll give my hands a quick wash. Okay. All right, so after the molasses, we want 1 egg. I never get it out. Oh boy. All right, there's our egg. I'll get the molasses out of shot in a second. Along with giving the container and where it is on the table or on the counter a quick wipe down. I think I'll move that out of the way, but I do want to hit it with the rag when I go to wash dishes when I'm all done in here. That can go back in the fridge. That's the eggs I'm putting back in the fridge. Let's see, so we're at the egg, teaspoon of vanilla extract, which is why I needed the extra teaspoon container. So there is my vanilla extract. Make a teaspoon, put a teaspoon in. And then we want the melted butter. So there's the melted butter that we worked on melting earlier. Pour that in. Alright, the vanilla extract can leave shot as well. And now we want to beat this until it's smooth and completely mixed. So I'm going to get this wooden spoon out of the way because I won't need that. And instead I will turn to my ever faithful servant, the hand mixer. So you're going to start hearing that as well. And I want to beat this until it's smooth and completely mixed. Alright, that looks to be about the consistency I want for the batter mix. So I'll go ahead and eject those, the mixer forks or whatever. And we will reposition the camera a little bit. So we'll be over at the stove once I get all that taken care of. I've got my nonstick pan, which you can see has been quite beaten over medium-low heat. So once I trust the temperature there, I'm going to let that come up a little bit more. We'll give that like another minute or so. But what we're going to be doing here, we're actually going to be dropping a small amount of the flatcake batter, which I've got a 1/4 cup container right here because that's what they reference in the recipe, into the pan. Then when it begins to bubble in the middle after about a minute or two, we're going to flip it over and then cook it on the other side for about a minute more. Repeat with the remaining batter and then serve warm. And I've also got some Also got a couple different flavors of syrup that I'm going to try this with. So I've got plain old maple syrup, along with some red raspberry syrup. So the red raspberry syrup I actually wanted to try with the Hush Puppy, with the Quiet Hounds from last week, but I was never able to find it until I went to the grocery store this morning. So that's what happened there. All right, that's probably warm enough now, so we'll grab the first quarter cup of the batter. There's our quarter cup, and then we'll dump that in to the pan. I'll grab a spoon so it's a little easier to scoop this out. Okay. Honestly, if I wanted to be a little more efficient, I could probably get a couple of these in, and I might try to do that with the... I might try to do that when I start the next... oh boy, that's going to be a problem. I might try to do that when I go for the rest of the flatcakes. But we'll see how this goes. I know it's going to be... It's not going to be the most exciting part of the channel, of the recipe, watching this cook, but I guess while we're waiting for it to cook, I can mention that I have been really enjoying these Mystical Munchies segments. It's been helping me with experimenting and expanding my kitchen skills. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of this segment, and if you've tried any of the recipes that you might have cooked, if you've cooked any of them. I'm curious to see what you think of them and what your results have been. So, yeah, like I said, this isn't going to be the most exciting part in the world watching this pancake cook. In fact, I'm going to step away for a minute just so I can grab a couple things. Okay, it's still taking its sweet time, but again, not completely unexpected. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. So we can watch that cook and hopefully see when it starts to bubble in the middle, which is the milestone that they're wanting us to aim for. Now, I'm tempted to just turn the camera off at this point and come back when it's bubbling. The reason I'm not warm to that idea at all is because the last time I did that, when I was making the no-bake cookies, I think that was part of the reason why the recipe flopped out, was because I turned the camera off. We came back when it was boiling, but the problem is by then I think it had already been boiling too long. So, like I said, I want to make sure as soon as things start to happen the way I want them to, at that point, I want to make sure I can react in essentially real time. So I'm actually going to grab a plate out as well, so I can put the flatcakes on them as they come off. I'll grab one for. Actually, I'm going to grab two of them because I'm going to grab two more. Because, like I said, I do want to try these with two different types of syrup: the maple syrup and the raspberry. Okay. Looks like it's... Okay, the bottom isn't quite solid yet either. That's something else I can kind of keep in mind. I'll turn the heat up. Just a little bit. We'll go up to about I think a 3 is about as high as I want to go on the heat there. I know, totally riveting stuff. And I think when the bottom starts getting more solid, that'll be another good milestone when I know, okay, these are probably ready to be flipped. Okay. It is definitely taking its sweet time about wanting to bubble, that's for sure. And again, the pan, it doesn't help that the pan, it probably doesn't help that the pan has been that this pan's kind of been beaten to hell. So I might end up needing a new fry pan at some point. But it is definitely taking its sweet time. Well, I do see bubbles starting to pop up, but I don't think that's where I want it to be. I think I want it to be bubbling a little bit more than just, ooh, mark the calendar. We actually saw something happen. That's just a wild and crazy guess on my part, which could very easily be wrong because it's also been ages since I've made pancakes of any kind, so that's not helping anything here either. It might be a little bit hard to see too through the camera in terms of actually seeing the bubbles pop up on the flatcakes. So I'm basically relying on not the camera to tell when these are ready to be flipped, when this is ready to be flipped. Part of me almost still wants to turn the heat up a little bit more, but just to make things move along a little faster. So I think we'll go up to about a 4, but I think that's probably where it's going to stay. Let me see if the bottom is starting to form any more solidly. Okay, it is a little bit. But it's still probably not completely where I want it to be. Another problem with it being such a cocoa-focused recipe is I really won't be able to tell if I've scorched it, which could be something you need to be careful of. Right. And admittedly, also cooking with the camera is still something I'm getting better at it the more I'm making these episodes of Mystical Munchies, but cooking with the camera is still something I haven't completely wrapped my head around yet. So that might also be kind of playing into feeling a little bit weird about cooking some of these recipes. Okay, definitely starting to bubble there. Okay, I am seeing more and more bubbles popping up here. So we'll give it about another minute or two. Alright, looks like everything's starting to bubble up more and more. Got some big bubbles coming up too. It might be, assuming everything is forming solidly, it might be time to go ahead and flip this. Just gonna. Okay, yeah, I think it's time to go ahead and flip this. So we'll go ahead and do that. Oh, wow. Does not look like I scorched that first one at all. Maybe it might be on the other side though, where I didn't let it cook long enough. But that one did look like it turned out fine. We'll keep an eye on it on the other side. Flip it over, then we'll flip it right back just to give it a little bit more time to cook. Like I said, given the size of this pan, I can probably cook these 2 at a time at the most. Which is what I'll do once I move into the, okay, let's start cooking this portion of the recipe, which I'll probably be heading into once I confirm that this one's good. Alright, so about another minute is how long they want these to cook for. So we'll give it about another minute. Okay. I'm also watching the clock on the range in case you're wondering what I'm eyeing up. But okay, just like I said, I'm just waiting at this point for the time to come off. I'm waiting for the time here. There we go. Let's see how this turned out. Oh, come on. Oh, wow. All right, so there's the one side of that. And then how it looked coming off of the stove. So that actually came out really well. I'll see if I can cook these. I'll see if I can get these going 2 at a time. See if I can fit 2 in here. Alright, so let's put one about on this edge. Hopefully it won't spill too far. And then we'll put a second one toward the other side. That's making me a little bit nervous in terms of being able to fit 2 in here, but I think I can get it to go. I may have to force them separate when we're all done here, but I think I can make it work. Yeah, it definitely looked like this pan was going to be big enough to handle 2 pancakes at a time. So I may have to separate them with like a fork or a knife or something, but yeah, I'll be able to keep those. I should be able to keep those mostly separate. But at this point, I'm gonna turn the camera off, cook the rest of these up. When we come back, we'll be over at my desk for the taste test. As you can see, I've got 2 of the cocoa flat cakes here. I've got one with I think this is the one with maple syrup, and then this is the one with raspberry syrup. So I'm going to try both, mostly because I'm curious about the raspberry syrup, but we'll give these a try and I'll tell you what I think. So first with the maple syrup. Okay, maybe I cooked it a little long, but it seemed... Pancakes almost seem like they should be a little bit more moist than this. This came out a little dry, but hopefully that won't be too big of a problem. Then we'll go ahead and have the one with the raspberry syrup as well. They actually turned out pretty well. These ones are a little bit cool, mostly because they sat out for quite a bit longer than they normally should, but that's something you'll have to be aware of when you go to actually make these yourself. So they do say, the recipe does say to serve them warm, but just a minor little thing. They actually turned out pretty moist, so, well, yeah. So just so another successful recipe on Mystical Munchies, but that will do it. Next week, we'll continue our tour of the World of Warcraft New Flavors of Azeroth cookbook with by far the hardest recipe I've ever tried, the dessert, Tweet's Flavorful Flan. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone. Thank you.